Let's take a look at graphing one cycle of the cotangent wave. We will also state its period. So I'm starting off with a nice unit circle. We know these points on the edge, 1, 0, 0, 1, very basic information about the x and y coordinate system. We also know that the unit circle, these represent angles. So this is in radians, 0. This would be pi halves, pi, 3 pi halves, and again this would be 2 pi, and we could go around and around and around. But also, dealing with cotangent, we also need to keep in mind that cotangent theta is cosine theta over sine theta. And these points represent the cosine theta and sine theta values. So we actually have everything we need for these points to find the cotangent. So cosine over sine, this would be 1 divided by 0. That's undefined. Here cosine over sine would be 0 over 1, which is 0. Negative 1 over 0 is undefined. 0 over negative 1 is 0. And we're back to undefined. Now, in plotting these points, the x value is actually representing the angle. So these are our red markings. This is 0 and pi halves and pi, 3 pi halves and 2 pi. And the y values are the values of the function which we've worked out for cotangent in green. So this is undefined, 0, undefined, 0, undefined. It's not a lot to work on. So I'm going to label these tick marks. Pi halves, pi, 3 pi halves, 2 pi, and for the cosine, 0 is actually undefined. That is going to be represented as a vertical asymptote. And then at pi, and then at 2 pi. So we have a lot of vertical asymptotes on the cosine. Similarly to the, I said cosine, cotangent. Similarly to the tangent function having an infinite number of asymptotes. So we have our undefineds. And we also know that at pi halves it's at 0. And at 3 pi halves, it's at 0. This isn't enough information for us to know what's going on here. So I want to add one extra angle, and it's a nice angle for tangent and cotangent. This is pi fourths. And tangent and cotangent are both 1 at pi fourths. So my pi fourths is here. And I'll have this value be 1, and this will be negative 1. The tangent wave goes through pi, I said tangent. The cotangent wave goes through pi fourths and 1. So does the tangent wave. Here we can see that this is a decreasing function. At 3 pi fourths, all students, tangent and cotangent are negative, so we can add these extra points in. The cotangent wave is a decreasing function, and it would repeat similarly for this next cycle. So this, I'm actually graphing 2 cycles, and on and on and on and on. It continues on and on and on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. There's an infinite number of these cycles, but this one cycle of the given function, the very much most common cycle, is the one that has an asymptote at 0 and an asymptote at pi, and it decreases in between, passing through pi fourths, 1. We can see from asymptote to asymptote, the period is pi, which is the normal period for cotangent and its reciprocal tangent. Sine, cosine, and the reciprocals cosecant and secant are all normal period 2 pi, but tangent and cotangent are period pi. I hope this helps.